Seven of Swords reversed. The Seven of Swords reversed reminds us that crime doesn't pay, without exception. If you get this card and you are tempted to cheat or take shortcuts in some way, this card gives a clear statement that you are going to get caught. Simple as that. Think twice. And if you have found that someone in your life is cheating you, by no means can you simply let it go. They must be called to account, if you are to keep this relationship. This does not mean you should assume that someone is cheating. This only applies if you know for a fact that they are. This is a time to think carefully about the way things are supposed to be done, and whether or not you are meeting that standard. It may be time to clean up your act. Take things one step at a time and don't try to do everything at once. You already know in your gut where the most important changes need to be made. Work. As with the upright 7, the appearance of the reversed 7 of Swords in the context of work can mean that your employer is looking at your work and what you do very closely. This is not a time to try to get away with anything whatsoever. You will surely be found out. Something which seems very small to you, like taking home a few pens from work, may seem like a huge breach of trust and result in major problems at work with your boss, up to and including the possible loss of your job. If you are looking for work, play up your trustworthiness and willingness to commit. Love. You may be feeling a sense of dissatisfaction with your love relationships when this card appears. If that is the case, and you are in a committed relationship, give deep thought to why and what you are dissatisfied about before speaking to your partner about it. Also consider what your role is in the conflict or problem in the relationship. Is there something you should or could be doing differently? Finances. When the reversed 7 of Swords appears, you are probably getting good advice about money, but you may be tending to ignore it. Listen hard to what you hear other people saying. This is not a time to gamble or take risks with money in any way. Make sure you know what you are getting into. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably isn't true. Health. Trust the wisdom of your body and of your higher power / the universe when the reversed 7 of Swords appears in the context of a health question. If you think you need more rest, then rest, even if you just got back from a 2-week vacation. If you feel the urge to talk to someone about your health concerns, then do so. At the same time, don't hesitate to get second or third opinions when it comes to invasive procedures. Spirituality. This is a good time to keep your own counsel when it comes to your spiritual beliefs. You can associate with others without believing everything they believe, of course. However, if you keep an open mind and open eyes and ears, you can receive spiritual wisdom now from people, and from the universe, whether or not you are really trying to do so. Inspiration can come in a nanosecond sometimes. Tarot History. The history of the tarot is shrouded in mystery. Very little in the way of concrete information is known about its origin, although many things have been written about it. We will probably never know the truth, as fact and fiction seem to be irrevocably mixed nowadays. The tarot originated in northern Italy in the early 15th century, sometime between 1420 to 1440. Despite the fact that it is often attributed to originating from China, Egypt, India, or Morocco, to name just a few, there is absolutely no evidence that this is the case. Nor, as is often quoted, is there any evidence whatsoever that the tarot was brought to Europe by the Romanis. The name tarot is often attributed to being Egyptian, Hebrew, or Latin. This is not the case. The earliest names are all Italian in origin. The cards were originally called carte de triomphe. Around 1530 the word tarocchi began to be used to differentiate them from a new game of triumphs that was in vogue at the time. The etymology of this new word is unknown. The German variant was known as tarot and the French tarot. The symbolism for the tarot is drawn from the culture of medieval and Renaissance Europe. The tarot subjects are distinctive to European Christendom. The symbolism does not come from Egypt or any of the other exotic locales often mentioned. It is often stated that modern-day playing cards evolved from the tarot. This is not the case. Modern-day playing cards came to Europe courtesy of Islam. They were an adaptation of the Islamic Mamluk cards. They appeared quite suddenly in many different European cities between 1375 and 1378. These early cards had suits of cups, swords, coins, and polo sticks, and courts consisting of a king and two male underlings. The tarot adds the Fool, the trumps, and a set of queens to this system. Sometime before 1480, the French introduced cards with the now familiar suits of hearts, clubs, spades, and diamonds. The Joker is not original to either the early form of modern-day cards, or to the tarot, but instead originated in the USA around 1857 and was used as a wild card in poker as well as the highest trump in euchre. It is also often stated that the Catholic and Protestant churches outlawed the tarot and all who used it in an effort to stamp out so-called heretical teachings. This is not the case. The Inquisition documented what the Church considered as evidence of heresy in great detail. The tarot was not even mentioned. After the Reformation, less controversial images for the Pope and Papess were substituted by card makers as the Church had objected to the original images. It is often said that the tarot was not used as a divination tool prior to 1781. The tarot was used as early as the 16th century to compose poems describing personality characteristics. There is historical evidence that in one case at least these verses were presented as relating to the person's fate. In other words, divination. Divinatory meanings were assigned to the tarot in Bologna in the early 1700s, and this is the first unambiguous evidence of tarot divination. Ordinary playing cards were connected with divination as early as 1487. It is not unreasonable to think that the tarot was also. The tarot has often been attributed with being a pillar of Western esoterica occultism. This is certainly not the case. The first occult writers to discuss the tarot were Court de Gabellin and the Comte de Melot in 1781. The tarot was not mentioned in any occult work for the first 350 years of its existence. The terms Major Arcana, Minor Arcana, High Priestess, and Hierophant are anachronistic when referring to the older tarot decks. The historically appropriate terms are the trumps and the fool, the suit cards, Papess or Popess, and Pope. Likewise, pentacles and wands are relatively recent substitutions for the traditional suit names of coins and staves or batons. The original Italian titles of the cards were in some cases different from the later French titles that have become familiar to us through the Tarot de Marseille and its descendants. Also, the ordering of the trumps varied considerably in Italy where the cards originated. It is not known which ordering is the earliest one. Even the number of cards in the deck varied a great deal. so care should be used in making statements about the original meaning of the cards based on the familiar titles and ordering. Many believe that the Waite-Smith Tarot is the original, standard, or most authentic tarot deck in existence. This is absolutely untrue. The Waite-Smith/Rider-Waite deck was created in 1909, not even 100 years ago, making it a relative newcomer in the almost 600-year history of the tarot. There is actually no definitive version of the tarot.